So embodiment means facing the truth of what's in our body, which includes fear and opens us to loving. I love the language of the fearless heart, and it's the title of, I'm doing an online course on the fearless heart in a few weeks that you can access through my homepage on my website. But the reason I name it the fearless heart is not because we're without fear. Fear lives in the body. We're alive in this body, and our nervous system experiences fear, but it's possible to bring presence to that fear in a way that we discover a heart space that's larger, that's large enough for this living, dying life. That's the fearless heart. So we practice, and as I mentioned, there are a number of ways that we can prepare for mindfulness, that rather than directly entering into the rawness, we can prepare ourselves. We can practice a breathing. It's sometimes known as coherence breathing, and it's very well researched that helps to activate the parasympathetic and deactivate the sympathetic. It's long, slow breathing, equal matched in-breath, equal matched out-breath, no pause in between. It will calm you down. We can practice putting our hand on our heart and our hand on our belly, because research shows that there's neural cells around the heart that are activated during stress and respond to the pressure and warmth of our touch. It actually calms us down. And it's even more effective if you combine it with nurturing thoughts. You can activate the parasympathetic, meaning reduce fear, by walking in nature. Tons of research. The difference between somebody walking in a city street or walking in nature, we start coming home to the elements, we start relaxing. So we're talking really in exploring together, how do we come home? How do we come back to the garden? And we do it either directly with rain, just re-entering and investigating and being with, or we do it more gradually by first remembering a feeling of love or connection or safety, and then gently coming in. But either way, to discover and experience what we long for, the body's the portal. Now, what I'd like to do, this last little piece, is just describe the fruits that come as we are increasingly awake in our body, but to invite you for a moment to check and see if you're here, okay? You might feel your hands and sense your awareness filling your hands. Are you actually feeling your hands? Or are they just an object there? Are your feet an object down there? Or can you feel them from the inside out a little? Can you sense the length and the volume of your arms and feel them from the inside out? What about your heart? Can you gently bring your breath to your heart? And just from the inside out, sense, okay, this is the life of the heart right now. As we begin to honor and tend to the body in a present way, we actually increase our level of vitality and aliveness. I've seen people that come to week-long retreats where we're over and over again coming back, feeling the life of the body, describe the awakening of the senses, like seeing, going outside in the spring and seeing that new green of spring, that kind of lime yellow, and saying, I could feel it in my body, you know, or hearing the sounds of the birds and saying it was a sympathy, you know, you could just, wow, you know. And that's what's possible, that these senses wake up. And you begin to get these nuanced sounds and tastes and so on. And here's how Eduardo Galeano puts it. He says, the church says the body is a sin. Science says the body is a machine. Advertising says the body is a business. The body says, I am a fiesta. So the first fruit is we actually get to live more fully. We get to, and I love exploring this particular theme in the spring, because we're already kind of drawn to it, and it brings it alive. So that's the first fruit, is that aliveness. The second fruit is that when we're embodied and feeling that aliveness and we bring the attention to the heart becomes an incredibly sensitive space. And, I described in this story, the woman's name is Dana, who was, surrounded by her allies and feeling that warm bath of presence. She, the way she described it is as she started letting it in, it became loving presence. She could actually feel it viscerally. And the opposite side is, many, many people have confided in me that they know they love others, but they don't actually feel loving. So they know it's there, it's really what we are, but they don't feel they're inhabiting it. And the more we're in a virtual reality, the more we leave home, the less we actually feel it. So we start not really trusting ourselves. When we've taken a long leave of absence from being home, we start mistrusting the goodness of our hearts because we haven't felt that tenderness that lets us know, oh, okay, I care. Does that make sense? Okay. I know one mom described how she felt like, it was a painful confession. She said, I feel like I spend more time worrying about and judging my daughter or teen than I do loving her. And that brought great pain to her. So I invited her to practice. I say, okay, so sense the things you're judging and worrying about. And she sensed them. I said, okay, now feel that in your body. It's kind of doing rain. Okay, allow that to be there, but investigate, feel it in your body. Okay, feeling it, and just put your hand on your heart and offer kindness. And she started sensing how all that worry underneath it, she wanted to know her daughter would be okay. She loved her daughter. But she couldn't contact until she on purpose started taking right what was there. You start right where you are. You don't try to jump into love. You start with the worry and the anxiety. And it's the presence with that opens us to the space that becomes tender and loving. Start where you are. I remember another woman whose father had Alzheimer's, and she said that she was so busy trying to deal with all the circumstances and so upset and so on that she wasn't feeling kind. And so again, when I asked her to get in touch with the busyness and the stress and so on, the anxiety in her, by going into her body, she started grieving the loss. And in the very depth of that grief was the loving. The body is the portal. The poet Hafez says, please stay near to me, and Hafez will spin you into love. Stay near to me, to this reality, this aliveness, and Hafez will spin you into love. So we're talking about the fruits here. And one fruit's this aliveness, and the other is becoming really tender. Taking whatever portal, whatever's going on, and through our bodies, finding that heart space that's tender. The third fruit I want to mention is the fruit of realization, of freedom. The fruit of wisdom, of really seeing what's true. If we're avoiding reality, if we're in any way controlling, in any moment controlling what's going on, we can't experience reality. Any controlling, and we're one step removed, we're separate from, we've divided ourselves away. But in the moments of embodiment, of opening to the sense of the form and sensation, we start discovering that space, that formless, empty space that all arises from, and the love that suffuses that space, the awareness that suffuses that space. So for Dana, it was recovering her soul. That was her language for that. That she went through her body and found that tenderness and that awakeness and that space. And another would say Buddha nature emerges, and another would say Christ consciousness through the body. So we started by sensing that prayer that it's actually right here. It's under us. That the illusion is we have to wait. We have to figure something out. We have to practice harder in another place for 30 days, to whatever it is. And the reality is that any moment that you say, oh, right now, come back, right here, you can begin to sense that presence and that space that's really home.